Hello and welcome back to the Franchise Millionaire Show. I am Andrea Bailey Brown and I'm excited to be here with you today. And today's episode is going to be very interesting. I'm going to be talking about my top takeaways from my conference, the International Franchise Conference in Florida. Some of you know I do lead a busy life as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. I do travel and travel to different places for speaking events and also for me to learn and for me to be the student in the room. So, what I'm going to be doing is going back to the franchise conference in Florida, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of my top takeaways. Now, the first thing is the value of networking, the value of attending events and conference. That one is really massive. We all, as business owners, have to get from behind our desk and go out and meet people face to face, shaking a hand, giving a hug. And yes, I know there's a time where we all had to be doing so much online, sadly, due to the pandemic. But now we are at a place where people are craving in-person events and in-person meetings. And I know for sure because as busy as I am, I still get up, get dressed, put on the nice outfits, and get on an airplane to actually meet people across the world for conferences in order for me to learn. Now, if you want to grow your business, I would really encourage you to think about networking and joining a group of people who will help you to get to where you want to go. So let's talk about this international franchise conference that I was at. And how do you attend these conferences? Like, how do you show up? Do you have a plan when you're going? Like a plan before you go, a plan when you get there, and also some sort of a plan for follow up once those conferences are done, especially if they're like really big ones where you meet so many people. And I would consider this conference that I was at a bigger conference than I normally and usually attend. And this is one of the main industry ones that I actually go to. So the first thing I would say, how do you plan to attend? So I still go to all the seminars that they offer, as many in that category during that time period as I possibly can, because I'm really someone who I'm still a teacher at heart. Like I'm not skipping school. So for some of you may or may not know, as we get to know each other here on the pod, that before I got into franchising and invested in my franchises, I was a teacher and have a French major, a German minor, and I taught French for junior high students and also in elementary when I was looking to exit. So I still believe in showing up and attending everything. And if I'm going to get on that plane, I just want to make sure it is definitely worthwhile. So having a conference in Fort Lauderdale was also really nice, being in Florida. And luckily for us, the conference happened before the hurricane. So that was also very helpful that we weren't affected by that. So we were grateful for the timing as well. So one of the things that I actually do is I usually have a nice notebook for my conference, and I haven't really seen a beautiful notebook that I don't like. I feel like I can get a lot more inspired and I can write nicer and I really pay attention. And I know there is technology and all of that out there, but I still like the pen, the feeling of that nice pen in a beautiful notebook and just my handwriting. That gets me really excited. I know, look at me nerding out on pen and paper, but it does count. It really makes a big difference. So that's the first thing. Like I show up prepared with a notebook, with my own pen that I write with better. So when I was doing my MBA, I found out that I got really like pen specific, became like a pen snob. There's certain pens and the ink. I didn't know that I had that in me. Well, I like nice things, but so that's the reason I really walk with my own pen versus what they give you like at a conference at the table or in the hotel room. So that's the first thing, showing up prepared with a great notebook where you have all your ideas in that one place from the conference. Another thing is when I travel and I get back home, I go to my notebook first and to see who I needed to connect with. And a lot of times, truth be told, my suitcase is still unpacked, even a month later, a couple months, if I'm being really honest. And it's because of my travel schedule. I often have three different suitcases on the go, even at the same time. And many times they're left unpacked because of that. And my husband is the opposite. When he gets back within, I would say, an hour of arriving, max, everything is taken out of the suitcase and is empty. So there are some of the differences there. The second thing is when you are at conferences, I'd encourage you to stay open, right? Like I don't go with any major agenda in terms of where I'll sit, who I will sit beside, etc. I like sitting at random tables and let serendipity play its course. And every time I attend the conference, I meet different people and I get exactly what I need based on where I sit. So I don't travel with sitting with the same people all the time, the same friends. I just like exploring, and that's why I am actually at a conference. It is to learn. This particular conference that I was at had over 800 people. So you can imagine the possibilities of people that you can meet in different states and different provinces as I came in from Canada. So keep that in mind. Leave room for serendipity when you are at different conferences. Another thing is the how you connect. So that would be like number 3, I believe, or 4 if I'm keeping track. So how do you connect? Some people actually like to use, their apps and they scan things and barcodes and QR codes, and those work too. Yes, I still bring my business cards. I like handing a business card to someone, and it just is there some things that it just helps you to remember that person a little bit more. So I do bring business cards. I make notes on them so I can remember certain people. And then there are other people who are teaching me, the tech side where I actually have to scan a card and put my info in and type it in. So I'm learning and I'm testing all the different things that are there. So let's talk about what happened at this conference as it relates to the franchise industry and what are some of the big takeaways that I had there. And the biggest one is that this industry is absolutely thriving. It really is. I mentioned there were about 800 plus people there, and it's an industry owned specific event or conference, so you really have to be invited. There were franchise consultants like myself there, franchisors, meaning these are the people who have actually had an idea to franchise a business and have turned it into a franchise where they're now selling their concept to other people who would like to become franchisees. So franchisors were there. There were also vendors, people that specialize, let's say, in HR for franchises or website building for franchises. Just, different vendors in software, things like that, right? So we had a whole group of people and law firms. We need a legal side when you're about to sign that franchise agreement. You need to make sure that you have someone that can look it over and someone that you trust before you put your trusty signature on those documents. All right, so another thing I realized that is great in this industry is that some of the unsexy franchises are actually thriving, and that is where we're seeing great profits from some of those industries as well. So I've coined the term unsexy franchise, and these are the ones that people don't really look at and think about, or they may be surprised by, may turn their nose up at it because it doesn't always come with the bells and the whistles, and they're quiet businesses that people are actually surprised about. So what would those be? For example, anything like the home service industry where you're painting, maybe you're doing lawn services, gutter removal, that would be considered unsexy. Some of the other ones would be restoration and sewers, mold, getting rid of mold. Those are what I coin unsexy. Some people also may call those businesses boring business roofing windows. So they don't have the sexy appeal like the golden M and that. So those industries are thriving, and you may be wondering why. And I would say one of the main reason is that the startup cost is also very low and you have lower overhead, and that gives you an opportunity to have higher profits. If your overhead is lower, where you don't have something like a big office to pay for, or you don't have 10 team members and labor cost and all of that, then yes, your net profit can be a lot more than when your fixed costs are very high. So Forbes put out its list of the top, billionaires and in the sector of women. Well, would you believe that one of the top women billionaires in the world is because she owns a business that does windows and roofing? It is not, top singers or people that you think. So be aware and pay attention to this industry of the home services and the home repair. Another big takeaway from the conference was that what I realized is that private equity is really paying a lot of interest into franchising. And it's because they can come in and invest in a company, but the company may have, you know, 50 locations, 100 locations, or 200 locations. So, what private equity is looking at is what basically the item 19 of that company, right? How many locations do the company have? Are there any closures? Are there any litigation? How are they getting to those numbers? And we're having more and more private equity firms buy and invest in franchises. So that is some of the things that I took away. Something else that you may need to consider is you perhaps may be thinking about franchising your business, and that is taking your business and franchising it where you can duplicate your model and have different people, now buy your concept. And this is something to think about, that you could grow it, you could get acquired by private equity, which we've seen many companies actually do. And when you get acquired, you're basically getting more funding so that your company can get bigger and grow faster. So those were some of the main things that I saw and at this conference. The next thing is, don't believe all the doom and gloom that when you listen and watch TV and watch the news. At this conference, there were so many people excited. There were over 600 different franchise brands that my clients can invest in and you can invest in as well. And some of these concepts are actually really growing and they are thriving. So, in the franchising industry, the opportunities are there because you can get started a lot faster. In a future episode, we are going to be looking at franchise, like the breakdown of some of the industries, how they're doing, why some industries are performing, the actual, the way that they actually are. So we are going to be looking, digging a little bit deeper into different franchising industries. So that was one of the main things that I really want you to consider, that in this industry, there's some industries that are also thriving. We're seeing, again, senior care, home services, and we just have to look into, why. With senior care, it's part of that aging population, right? Every day we're all getting a bit older, if we're lucky. That really can happen for us, right? That we continue to age. So I was really excited to attend. And as I wanted to say again, making sure that you are getting out there and you're getting out from behind your desk. You are going to meet people and you are finding out about maybe things that you don't know about for your industry, and meeting people who can teach you so much just by serendipity is really what I believe in when I attend these conferences. Who can I meet? What can I learn that I did not know? And I don't go in expecting to know everything. That is the beauty of getting out from behind our desk and doing some networking. So let me know what resonated with you in this episode, what conferences you are planning to attend, what were some of your takeaways from this episode, and I can't wait to see you again. Bye.